Hey, this is Luke from the BSuccessful team. If the title of this video appeals to you, and you want to know the story behind the over 200 million MEX that I've managed to accumulate since Maiar Exchange was founded, stay with me until the end, and you will find out every step that I did. Do not think that it's a trick or witchcraft. It's far simpler, just good exploitation of the conditions that Maiar Exchange made available to us. It's really not the best exploitation. More money could be obtained, but that's always easy to say with hindsight. It's much harder to make the perfect moves on time. I'm curious into what yields you got, but also how you could have improved in your strategy, and I would like to know what you think about how I manage things here. So I encourage you to leave a comment. All the decisions we've made so far have been made public on the channel. What I will do now is centralize this information and give you some context. First of all, I want to mention that I am writing this material on May 21st, and the value of a MEX is $0.000107. The total number of MEX accumulated is 204 million. And the current market value is $21,850. Considering that we are in full swing of the market, and the maximum value of the MEX currency was exactly 16 times higher than now, when MEX reaches an all-time high, this position will be worth $350,000. Now, if you want to know my opinion about when the new ATH for MEX will follow, I can honestly say that I don't expect it to be before 2025. All financial markets will be in a continuous decline for at least another year, even if we see a small increase of 2 to 3 months this summer. But with the crypto market in particular, I don't think we'll see new heights before the next Bitcoin halving, which will take place in 2024. But as history has already taught us, the recoil in the market is not immediately visible, but has a slight delay. The last halving was in 2020, and peak market values were only reached in the second half of the following year. That's why I don't think we'll have a new ATH sooner for MEX. And yes, I know this is an extremely inflationary currency at the moment, but don't forget that this inflation will continue for only 6 months, after which MEX will be a deflationary currency for the rest of its existence, and the burning mechanism will be kept from getting bigger. So for pessimists who don't think that MEX will reach a new ATH, you should keep in mind that deflation on this currency will start soon. You should know that the number of Maiar users has doubled in the last 6 months, and that the next cycle of crypto growth could triple the number of people now in the ecosystem. These factors will seriously offset current inflation, and I believe that any MEX currency we can accumulate now is very valuable, whether locked or not. In case you are new to the ecosystem, locked MEX are MEX tokens, which cannot be traded for 12 months from issue. You can get rewards in locked MEX or MEX. Obviously, the yield is higher if you choose the first option and you are willing to wait a year to capitalize on these tokens. Although, as I said, I suggest you do not rely on next year, which is likely to be much worse than this, but make a realistic plan to consider a sale of coins in 2024 or 2025. Now, what I would like to start with is the fact that we did not collect these coins without making any investment. On the contrary, we have made an investment that probably not everyone can afford. But the most important thing is the percentage return. Even if you invest $10 or $100, it is important that you make the most of your investment and never feel discouraged that you have little money to start with. I'll give you a little example that I hope will motivate you in this regard. If you start with $30 on the road and you manage to double them, you'll have $60. If you manage to double them again, you'll have $120. And if you manage to do that 15 times in total, you will turn $30 into $1 million. The problem is not how much money you start with, but just how well you managed it. So let's get back to our route. When Maiar Exchange was launched, I introduced 66 EGLD into the exchange. To understand what the value of the investment was then, we need to multiply 66 EGLD by $390. as the value of an EGLD on the day the exchange was launched. So the value of the investment was $25,740 at the time. Although it's important to say two things. First, I bought those coins at a much lower price, so my real investment wasn't that big. And the second important thing is that I invested EGLD, not dollars. So even if the value of the investment was $25,740, I'm referring to 66 EGLD. These 66 EGLD, if I had decided to keep them staking and not risk them on the platform I would have now, 6 months later, about 72 EGLD at today's price of $90 per EGLD. The value of my investment today would be capped at $6,480. And as I said earlier, it currently represents $21,850, meaning I got a capital protection on a market crash and a 350% profit in 6 months. This is in relation to the EGLD currency and not to the dollar currency. I mean, today if I wanted to close this position and buy MEX for this money, I could buy 242.7 EGLD. From my point of view, it was a great investment. Even if it was not the best choice, as I said before, we can only see this after the actions have taken place. I could have gotten a higher return if I had sold those 66 EGLD for $500 a piece and bought them back the other day when the price dropped below $70, but for that, we should have known the minimum and maximum prices. And you can only know that after it happened by looking at the graphs. Now let's continue our story. Of these 66 EGLD, half, that is 33 coins, we exchanged in MEX, and we created tokens of liquidity, which we deposited on the farm and took advantage of those enormous rewards from the beginning of the exchange, having profits at the time at the prices of the currencies of that time, even of over $10,000 per day. Now, the first smart move I made was to apply my EGLD coin recovery strategy. I did this in the following way. As I received rewards in locked MEX, I sold the liquidity tokens in the two currencies that made them up, respectively, MEX and EGLD. With MEX, we buy back EGLD. Remember that this MEX was originally bought with EGLD, and now all I could do was buy back that invested EGLD. So we turned MEX into EGLD, and this EGLD, together with the one that resulted from when I paired the liquidity tokens with the locked MEX I received as a reward for farming. In this way, in a short time, for my positions consisting of LP tokens, formed in turn from 33 EGLD and the related MEX, the position quickly turned into LP tokens, formed 60 EGLD and the equivalent in locked MEX this time, instead of MEX. Why 60 EGLD and not 66? Because at each swap, I paid a fee of 0.03% of the amount, and because I sold LP tokens daily, I paid a penalty of 1%. But nevertheless, I managed to get the best possible return in these conditions. That's why I created a special clip at that time, which I invite you to watch now, maybe even several times if you don't understand the whole process at first, because there is a lot to learn. The video caused a stir at the time, generating tens of thousands of views when published. You can access this clip right now via the link on the screen. Then the next doubling of capital came. Seeing that impermanent loss is starting to devour my EGLD from LP tokens, I found at one point that I had only 55 EGLD left in my LP out of 60, so I made the next decision. Using the BSuccessful exchange, I noticed a lot of people are willing to sell MEX for locked MEX at a good price. At that time, an EGLD was worth about 500,000 MEX, but at the same time, there were people willing to offer you 1,200,000 locked MEX for an EGLD. These locked MEX, I repeat, are blocked for a year from the moment they are issued on the market, and those who need cash sold them for half their value. So I made the decision to sell the LP tokens I had, to sell the 55 EGLD for locked MEX, so I got an instant hypothetical return on the dollar of 120%. For these 55 EGLD, I received on the BSuccessful exchange about 66 million locked MEX, and I was lucky that most of them are instantly unlockable. So without thinking, I clicked on the Unlock Now button and sold again on the BSuccessful exchange each freshly unlocked MEX for another 2 locked MEX, thus earning again a profit of over 15 million locked MEX. If you haven't done this step but are interested in doing it, find out that now is much more profitable. Today you can receive 1,650,000 locked MEX for each EGLD. Accumulating these locked MEX with the over 100 million I had accumulated as rewards, I reached over 204 million tokens today and continue to receive an interest rate of 80%, which as you know is declining. I estimate that by the end of these farms, I will reach a total of over 250 million locked MEX, taking into account an average interest rate of only 50% until then. Based on these calculations, I expect that when MEX reaches ATH again, this investment will be worth $500,000. And that's what I was saying in a few years, with an initial investment of a few $1,000s. As I said, I expect feedback from you in the comments. And don't forget that you can find us on all your favorite platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Like and share if you liked it, and until next time, take care of your money because everyone wants it.